You ever kneel so long your knees forget how to stand? I did. For them, for the light, for the warmth, for the gate I was told I had to earn. They said heaven was a reward. They said if I obeyed, if I bled right, if I swallowed every ounce of pain without screaming, I'd make it, that all this suffering had a meaning. That somewhere behind those golden clouds, my name was written on a throne. So I prayed harder than anyone. I followed every rule they whispered like scripture. I dimmed myself until I couldn't see my own reflection, just to be called pure. Pause. A breath, eyes close. And you know what heaven said? Nothing. Not a whisper, not a door opening, not a hand reaching down. Just silence. Cold, arrogant silence. I knocked. They didn't answer. I cried. They turned the volume down. I bled for a God that never bled for me. Slight smirk, not out of humor, out of disbelief. It's funny, isn't it? You spend your whole life trying to be worthy, only to find out the test wasn't even meant for you. They handed out halos like handouts in a rigged game, while the rest of us, the broken, the furious, the ones too loud, too raw, too real, we were never on the guest list. They don't let wolves into paradise. Even when the wolves tried to be sheep. Steps forward. Spotlight grows brighter. Intensity building. But let me ask you something. What kind of heaven needs you to beg? What kind of divine kingdom turns its back on the ones who gave everything? Gave them tears, they gave me tests, I gave them silence, they asked for more. I broke myself into offerings and still they looked away. Pause. Darkening now. The grief begins to sour into defiance. So I stopped knocking, I stopped kneeling, and I stood, and I looked at the sky not with hope, but with a question. Why was I never enough? Was it the rage I hid behind my smile? The questions I dared to ask, the refusal to die quietly? Or maybe I was never rejected because I was unworthy. Maybe I was rejected because I was too dangerous to welcome. Beat. Now the voice shifts, heavier, firm, like a truth finally spoken aloud. They saw what I would become. They saw the fire still smoldering behind my polite prayers. They saw the hunger that couldn't be baptized away, and they knew. They knew that if I ever stopped trying to fit in, I'd become something they couldn't control. Slowly walking the perimeter, voice rising with each word. So they buried me in guilt. They dressed obedience as virtue. They called it humility. When really it was leashing, smirks. But chains rust. And I remember the sound they made when they broke. Clink, clink, freedom. I didn't lose faith. I evolved it, from something I asked for, into something I became. Stops, center stage. Eyes, piercing the void. I'm no longer waiting for heaven. I am no longer knocking at doors built to stay closed. Let them keep their clouds and choirs. I don't want wings that require permission. I want flame. I want fury. Want the kind of freedom that terrifies the architects of heaven. Because if they won't make room for me, I'll make a kingdom of my own. And this time, no gates, no judges, no gods above me, just fire, and the ones who were never allowed in. A long pause. Then the final line, quiet and sharp as a knife sliding into truth. I didn't fall from grace, grace fell from me. They thought it would break me, that if they set enough fires, I'd either run from the flames or vanish in the smoke. They didn't realize I don't run, I don't vanish, I learn. Pauses, crouches to touch scorched ground, rubs ash between fingers. At first I didn't know what the fire was. I thought it was punishment, I thought it was hell. Every betrayal, every loss, every night I begged something, anything to make it stop. I thought that meant I was cursed. Didn't know it was forging me. I didn't know it was tempering my soul like a sword under a hammer. Stands, eyes narrow, steps through smoke like a memory walking back into its own bones. They wanted to melt me. Instead, they molded me. They wanted to silence me. Instead, I found my voice inside the screams. Because pain doesn't just hurt. It teaches, Ifi. You let it. Voice sharper now, fierce, reverent even. The fire didn't come to punish me. It came to train me, to rip the softness from my skin, to carve strength into my spine, to teach me how to survive in places where love had no language, where loyalty was a lie, where every "I care about you" had teeth. Steps forward, wind howling. Softly through cinders, cloak of ash trailing behind. You ever been betrayed so deeply you stop flinching? You ever been lied to so many times that truth starts sounding foreign? That's the fire, that's the test. Not to see if you burn, but to see if you learn. Beat, slower now, reflective. Voice like glowing embers. I learned that being too soft in this world is a death sentence. I learned that apologies don't mean anything unless they're backed by change. I learned that sometimes being the bigger person just makes you a bigger target. Smirks faintly. They said, let it go. But I didn't. I held on, not to the pain, but to the lesson. Eyes flicker, firelight dancing in them now. You see, when the fire came, it didn't ask for permission. It just devoured everything I thought I needed. Everything I thought. I was gone, charred down to the bone. But that's where the truth lives, beneath the masks, beneath the smiles. Beneath the I'm okay you whisper when you're dying inside. The truth is, I needed the fire, because I didn't know who I was without the burn. Steps over twisted remains of something forgotten. Smoke parts in reverence. Before the fire, I begged to be loved. Now I demand to be respected. Before the fire, I tried to prove my worth to people who couldn't even see their own. Now, I know I don't need their sight. I was never invisible. They were just blind. Voice rising now. The wind swells. This is no longer reflection, it's resurrection. I used to ask, why me? Now I ask, why not me? Why shouldn't I be the one who survives it? Why shouldn't I be the one who turns scars into symbols? Why shouldn't I rise me, not in spite of the pain, but because of it? Looks directly into the darkness, as if challenging the world itself. You gave me fire, and you thought I'd drown in it. But fire is not my enemy. It's my origin story. You thought you were torturing me? No, you were tempering me, training me, teaching me to never need you again. Long pause. The world holds its breath. The figure exhales, steam rising like a dragon's sigh. I used to cry for help. Now, I am the storm they run from. I used to ask for mercy. Now I am the reckoning they never saw coming. I used to try to be enough for them. Now, I realize they were never enough for me. Final lines slow, sharp, delivered like a blade across glass. So, Tanush, the fire wasn't sent to destroy me. It was sent to reveal me, because monsters aren't born in sunlight. Gods aren't shaped by praise. Legends aren't raised in comfort. They're forged. And I was forged in the flames they set for me. They built that fire to burn me down, but all they did was light my way. They thought hell was a place you fall into, a punishment, a trap, a grave. But I didn't fall, I chose it. I didn't trip over my pain, I followed it, down the spiral. Through the smoke, into the fire. Heaven said, no. Hell whispered, prove it. So I did. Because I got tired of asking for light in a world that fed off my shadow. Tired of begging angels who only loved me when I was quiet, soft, broken. They wanted obedience. I gave them fire. I didn't walk into hell with my head bowed. I walked in smiling. Because hell doesn't lie to you. It doesn't dress up chains as morals. It doesn't wrap silence in ribbons and call it peace. Hell shows you what you are raw, unforgiven, undeniable. And when I saw myself down there, not the version they created, not the quiet ghost I pretended to be, but me, the rage, the hunger, the storm. I didn't run, I rose. They called it madness. I called it memory. Every time they broke me, every time they left me bleeding and called it character building. Every time they mocked the fire in my voice and said, calm down, you're being dramatic. I remembered that kindness didn't save me, that patience never paid off, that being the bigger person only made me a bigger target. So I stopped shrinking. I stopped apologizing for scars they gave me. I stopped dimming my flame to keep their paper world from catching fire. Let it burn. Let it all burn. They said hell was a curse, but I learned how to build there, how to sharpen pain into purpose, how to stitch rage into armor, how to smile with blood in my mouth and thunder behind my eyes. They said, don't go too far. I became the distance. They said, don't get lost in the dark. I made the dark my home. Because when I stopped begging for light, I realized I was the damn torch and the demons. They didn't scare me. They listened. They watched me walk in with no fear. They saw the war in my eyes. They didn't ask me to change. They trained me to stop flinching, to stop apologizing, to stop kneeling. I didn't make a deal with the devil. I became the thing they pray never wakes up. Because what they forgot, what they never understood, Santa, was that pain doesn't weaken everyone. Some of us, we turn it into a throne. We take what they used to hurt us, the doubt, the guilt, the loneliness, and we build stone by stone, lie by lie, scar by scar, until we're not just survivors, we're sovereign. And now, they want to talk, they want to explain. Too late. I don't speak the language of guilt anymore. I speak fire. They want mercy. They should have shown some. They want peace. They should have never started the war because I didn't just survive the storm. I became it. I didn't just walk through the flames, I fed them. And now I don't want their seats at the table. I flipped the table, built my own, carved it from everything they buried me under, and crowned it with silence. Not the silence of surrender, but the silence of power. Because the loudest one in the room isn't always the strongest. Sometimes it's the one watching, smiling, waiting. So go ahead, let them whisper, let them plot, let them pray. I stay quiet. They thought I'd crawl. I built a throne, and now they kneel. They stared at the wreckage, at the blood, at the bruises, at the way I moved, slower, heavier, quieter, and they smiled. They thought I was finished. They called me damaged, like that word was supposed to be a death sentence. But let me tell you something. Every scar on my skin is a signature. Every one, a mark of the moments I refused to stay down, a reminder that I bled and still didn't beg. You see wounds, I see blueprints. They called it failure. I call it design. They think falling is weakness, but only fools fall flat. Me, I fall forward. I fall harder. I fall with purpose. And every time I hit the ground, I learned something new about how to rise. You want to talk about pain. You want to talk about failure. I've been betrayed so many times my trust turned to armor. I've been broken so many ways my pieces don't fit back the way they used to. Good, I don't want them to, because I wasn't meant to return to what I was meant to evolve into something they couldn't understand, something they couldn't predict, or control, or kill. They used to say, "You've changed," and I used to flinch. Now I grin. Damn right I changed, because staying the same in a world like this, that's suicide. I changed because I had to, because I was tired of apologizing for growing teeth, tired of shrinking so others wouldn't feel small around me, tired of hiding the fire they said was too much. I let them convince me I was wrong for wanting more. But now I want everything. Let them call it ambition. Let them call it obsession. Let them call it delusion. Call it whatever you want. It's mine. I've earned every ounce of power running through my veins. And I didn't get it from books or kindness or prayers. I got it from war, from clawing my way out of pits I didn't dig, from being stabbed by hands I used to hold, from hearing "you're not enough" until I carved that phrase into a throne. So I sit here now, covered in the echoes of every battle, bones aching, knuckles cracked, eyes that have cried rivers but never drowned in them. You think I lost? You think I failed? Then you don't understand the rules, because loss isn't the end. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the blueprint. The wreckage is the map. The scars are the directions, and every broken piece, that's a piece that doesn't fear breaking anymore. That's a piece that's dangerous now. So let me say this, don't mourn who I used to be. I don't. That version of me, the one who begged, who folded, who waited for permission to shine, that version died so I could breathe, so I could become. Now I walk with all of them in me, the weak one, the desperate one, the betrayed one, the raging one. Each version was a chapter, and this is the final act. This is the part where I stop explaining myself, stop apologizing for my sharp edges, stop shrinking for cowards. You thought you broke. Me, you thought I'd stay shattered. But what you didn't realize is that I don't glue the pieces back the way they were. I rearrange them. smarter, sharper, deadlier. Weapon forged from failure. You don't have to like it. You don't even have to understand it. Just remember it when you see me again. When the same flames you lit come roaring back at you. When the storm you prayed for finally answers, and it speaks in my voice. When you hear me coming and it's not footstep, it's thunder. That's when you'll get it. You didn't beat me. You built me. And now I don't flinch. I don't fold. I don't fall. Because what you thought was my collapse was just me learning how to land harder. They called it madness. But I call it mastery. You know why? Because people always fear what they can't understand. They label what they fear. They exile what they can't explain. And I was never meant to be explained. I was meant to be unleashed. You think I didn't notice? The way they whispered when I walked in the room. The way they looked away but never fast enough. As if staring too long might set their bones on fire. They called me unstable, obsessive, too intense, too much. But here's the truth. Too much is exactly what it takes to change a world that's addicted to average. They couldn't handle the way I didn't break when they pushed me. They couldn't handle the way I kept building while they laughed. They couldn't handle the fact that I saw through them, their comfort, their cowardice, their hollow little lives. So they tried to define me, tried to cage me in their tiny vocabulary. Crazy, difficult, dangerous. But you can't reduce a storm to a sentence. You can't summarize a galaxy with a diagnosis. They mistook my precision for obsession, my focus for delusion, my drive for ego. They thought I was spiraling. I wasn't spiraling. I was ascending step by step, alone, in silence, with nothing but fire in my lungs and war in my veins. They see chaos, but I see calculation. They see destruction, but I see evolution. Because I didn't come here to be safe. I came here to be so precise, so relentless, so uncontainable that even the shadows remember my name. Let me ask you something. When did intensity become a crime? When did focus become dangerous? When did wanting more make you the villain? Because if wanting more is a sin, then damn it, I'll burn proudly. They say I scare them. Good. Fear is respect dressed in panic. And I didn't come to be loved. I came to be unforgettable. They called it madness. But this is what happens when discipline meets obsession, when vision refuses to compromise, when someone decides they don't want to fit in. They want to take over. You want to know what madness really is? Madness is living a life designed by people too afraid to live one of their own. Madness is silencing your fire just to make cold hearts comfortable. Madness is letting fear write your story and calling that peace. I chose a different path, one where sleepless nights were currency, one where sacrifice was oxygen, one where solitude wasn't punishment, it was preparation. They saw me talking to myself in the mirror. I saw someone sharpening their mind like a blade. They saw mania. I saw momentum. They saw rage. I saw rebirth. So yeah, call it madness, if it helps you sleep. But when the dust settles, when the world finally catches up, when your so-called crazy one becomes the blueprint you're too late to follow, you'll understand. I wasn't out of control. I was out of reach. They fear the ones they can't predict. They destroy what they can't dominate. But I was never built to be managed. I was built to rewrite the code, to shatter the mold, to burn the throne and carve a new one from the ashes, because at the end of it all, they see a monster. But I see a mirror. And it's about time they looked into it. They thought they could control me, shape me, contain me. They thought they were the gatekeepers of power, the arbiters of worth, the judges of what was divine and what was damned. But they forgot. One thing, I never asked for their permission, and now I cook with chaos, and hell's shaking. They wanted fire. I became the chef. I didn't just survive the flames. I learned to flavor them. I stir rage with resolve. I season pain with purpose. I bake betrayal into blueprints. Now every move I make tastes like vengeance. Every word I speak carries the smoke of every bridge they burned. They gave me nothing. So I learned how to make something out of nothing. No ingredients, no instructions, just scars and silence. And I turned it into power, into art, into alchemy. The recipe they tried to hide, I rewrote it in blood. Heaven said I wasn't chosen. So I chose myself. Hell said I wasn't stable. So I shattered every mold they tried to put me in. Now the angels are choking on their halos, and the demons are biting their tongues, because I don't play by their rules anymore. I throw lightning in a cast-iron grin. I flip destiny like a broken coin. I stir fate with a rusted blade, and I laugh. Because chaos is mine now, do you hear that? That trembling in the abyss? That isn't thunder, that's fear. That's the underworld watching their systems spiral. That's the elite gripping their illusions like rosary beads. That's the heavens whispering to each other. Who the hell gave them the recipe? Who gave me this power? No one. No divine right. No sacred scroll. No royal bloodline, just fire, failure, and the fury of being underestimated one too many times. They wanted perfection. I gave them mayhem. They wanted obedience. I gave them a revolution. They wanted a puppet. I became the puppeteer, with strings made, curved smoke, and fingers dipped in madness. Let them panic, let them pray, let them kneel in confusion. Because while they cling to order, I thrive in disorder. While they build temples, I tear down the sky and dance in the ruins. While they whisper rules, I scream rebellion. They say I'm unstable. No, I'm uncontainable. There's a difference. They say I've lost my mind. No, I let it go, because sanity is a cage they sell you to keep you compliant. But chaos is freedom. Freedom to break what breaks you. Freedom to become what they fear. Freedom to smile while the world burns. Because this time, you're holding the match. This isn't a comeback. This is creation. This isn't redemption. This is rewriting the ending. And in my version, I don't ascend gently into the light. I kick down heaven's doors and I teach hell how to beg. I don't bring balance. I bring the storm. Not peace, but power. Not harmony, but havoc. I'm not the answer they prayed for. I'm the consequence they created. Let them tremble, let them choke, let them ask, who the hell gave them the recipe? Because the truth is, you can't cook this, you can't copy this, you can't contain this. This is chaos distilled. This is madness mastered. This is every no I ever swallowed, served back as thunder. So I'll say it again. Now I cook with chaos and hell. Hell's not laughing. Hell's shaking. They had their chance to stop me, to tame me, to shape me into something small enough to control. They tried silence, didn't work. They tried shame, still standing. They tried exile. I thrived in the wilderness. They tried to bury me in darkness. But the thing about darkness is, I see better in it now. And now? Now I'm done negotiating. No more asking, no more waiting, no more bleeding for rooms I was never meant to sit in. This isn't a request. This is a reckoning. Bow, burn, or be rewritten by the flame. Because I am the flame now, I asked. I fought, I built, I burned. And in the ruins they left behind, I found myself. I asked them to see me. They looked away. I asked them to hear me. They covered their ears. I asked them to stand beside me. They ran. So I stopped asking. I became the answer. I fought, not for approval, but for identity. I built, not for comfort, but for power. And I burned, not to destroy the world, but to remake it. You think this is rage? It's not. This is clarity. This is evolution. This is what happens when the weak stop apologizing for becoming strong. No saviors, no judges, no kings, just me. I don't need a throne. I am the seat of power. I don't need a crown. My scars are coronation enough, and I don't need permission. I rewrite the laws now. I rewrite the limits. I rewrite the rules. I rewrite the names they tried to brand me with. Failure, liar, too much, too loud, too broken. Let me be clear. I am not broken. I am reconstructed. Every fracture, a blueprint. Every scar, a signature. Every loss, a lesson I own. They built fires to scare me. I danced in them. They built cages to hold me. I studied the locks. They built walls to contain me. I became the storm that laughs at walls. Not God, not devil. I'm something older, something earned. Born not from worship, but from war. Built not from prayers, but from pain. Forged not in temples, but in every silent scream I swallowed, and every night I rose again when I wasn't supposed to. You want mercy? You should have found me before the fire, because now Now I am the fire, and this world will kneel, not because I demanded it, but because I earned it. And if they won't kneel, let them burn, let them scream, let them call it villainy, call it madness, call it heresy. But know this, when the dust settles and the gods look down and the devils rise up to take notes, they will speak my name. With reverence, with fear, with regret. Let them ask, who gave me the recipe? Let them tremble when they taste it, because I'm not here to serve, I'm here to rewrite the menu.